Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the low volatility that we've been seeing in Bitcoin here over the last couple of months, what that means for Bitcoin, and why that's actually a major signal that we're probably going to be seeing a major move in Bitcoin here over the next couple of months. So we're going to be discussing why exactly that is, and we're also going to be talking about this major move, when it might be coming, and which direction we might see the breakout. Guys, in this video, we're going to try to encapsulate and encompass a lot of different topics that are discussed in many different videos across many different channels into one video so that you have a concise understanding of why Bitcoin is moving in the way that it is. So if you guys do enjoy today's video and you do get some value out of today's video, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps out the channel when you do that, and I would be appreciative. And if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're posting daily cryptocurrency technical analysis content, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of it. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. So guys, we could start with the short-term technical analysis and say that, oh wow, Bitcoin's moved 2% to the upside, but that's not really all that interesting. I want to zoom out and look at the longer term volatility, and there's actually a technical indicator, there's several of them that are good for this. If we come out to the weekly chart, of course we can go to our Bollinger Bands up here if we want and pull these up, and we'll see that the Bollinger Bands are starting to constrict in on themselves on the weekly chart and also on the daily chart, but there's actually a better technical indicator for this than the Bollinger Bands themselves. That technical indicator would be called the RVI, the Relative Volatility Index. Now, I'm not going to get into how this is calculated today, but I do want to show it to you guys. It's right down here at the bottom of our chart. It's an oscillator, and it shows us pretty well what the volatility and what the history of the volatility of Bitcoin looks like. As you guys can see, when Bitcoin was rallying up here to $15,000, so too was the volatility down here. Bitcoin was, of course, getting far more volatile, and also I would say that this chart down here shows kind of a parallel to the overall interest in the space. Bitcoin had a major peak in interest as well, right around December of 2017 as Bitcoin was topping out. Same thing is true back over here in June. There was a major peak in interest in the space as Bitcoin was topping out. But so too was the volatility, of course. But that brings us to where we are today, guys. Why is this important? Well, it's pretty simple why this is important. If we go out to our BLX chart so that the chart's a little cleaner, I want to show you this part of the market right here in 2018. Let's go down to the daily. Tell me in the comments section if you were here during the later part of 2018. It wasn't that long ago. It was only about a year ago. But during this time, Bitcoin traded sideways and sideways and sideways, and the volatility continued to drop off and drop off and drop off. And the volatility continued to drop off and off and off to the point where Bitcoin was pretty much just trading sideways, doing a whole lot of nothing here for a little while before Bitcoin did eventually fall off a cliff and break down to $3,500. But the reason this and the RVI are interesting is because they're both drawing parallels to what the market looks like right now. Guys, the RVI is very low on the weekly chart in the same way that it was back here about a year ago before the breakout. And in a similar manner to back over here, guys, Bitcoin's volatility is very low. With the exception of this big red candlestick, guys, Bitcoin's pretty much just been trading sideways for the last month or two. So like I said, that paired with historically low RVI levels down here sitting around 30 to 35, that is typically indicative that there's going to be some kind of major move. But that's all well and good, guys. I think many of us had been expecting a big move coming out of Bitcoin here over these last couple of months. So that begs the further question, what will that move look like? Well, guys, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to tell exactly when Bitcoin's volatility is going to return. It's hard to tell when Bitcoin is going to start rallying or falling again because, quite frankly, there's not a whole lot going on in the cryptocurrency space right now. It's getting increasingly hard to come up with video topics for me to talk to you guys about when there's just not a whole lot of fundamental news going on. I mean, one news article I want to look at a little bit later in this video is Japan legalizing cryptocurrency donations. But other than stuff like that, there's not much going on in the space, which is unfortunate because we are technically in a bull market. So because of that, it's not very easy to look off into the future and forecast when a big rally is going to start or when a big dump is going to happen because there's not a whole lot of fundamental news that we can look forward to other than the halving, which is nearly half a year away. But with that all being said, also, I do want to make one point, and that is in the same way that what goes up must come down in cryptocurrency markets, and in general anyway, what goes down must come up as well. The same thing is true for volatility. What becomes more volatile will eventually constrict and become less volatile. A good example of this is when Bitcoin was ridiculously volatile in the second half of 2017, pulled back, and started trading sideways with very low volatility down here. But when we saw this low volatility, it was not to last. Bitcoin had a big volatile move to the downside before some trading sideways, and then this low volatility got replaced by high volatility again. It's a cycle. We have low, high, low, high, low, and you guess what's next? High. Guys, we've had low volatility here for the last little while, and we're kind of getting to the point where something needs to happen. We're getting to a breaking point. Bitcoin's been trading sideways for so long. Everybody's sure of their positions. Everybody knows what they want to do. Everybody has their plan. They have their positions ready, whether or not they're going to long, short, trade sideways, whatever they're going to do. They've kind of decided what they're going to do by now. The swing traders are ready. Something is probably going to be happening pretty soon. So that brings me to the third point. Not only is Bitcoin going to more than likely see a big move, not only is that move more than likely going to be sooner rather than later, I would argue that that move is probably going to be to the upside, even if we have a correction in the short term before that move. Let me explain that. Guys, Bitcoin had very low volatility over here and Bitcoin fell to the downside. Bitcoin had very low volatility over here and it broke to the upside. But there's something interesting in all of these patterns. You could kind of tell which direction we wanted Bitcoin to move when Bitcoin was trading sideways here. Obviously, it was about to break $6,000. Same thing is true over here when Bitcoin was trading sideways. It was pretty obvious that Bitcoin had bottomed out because this right here, this was the 200 weekly simple moving average. Bitcoin was probably not going to fall below that, so it was pretty obvious that Bitcoin was going to break to the upside, which it did. We could tell both of those things with the fundamentals. There were very boring fundamentals over here, very, very exuberant, very hyped fundamentals over here. Now, guys, right now we're somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of people that are bored with the market, but there are a lot of people that are excited with the market. But because we're already in a bull market, because we're above a lot of the indicators that we need to be above to be considered in a bull market, I do think that more than likely Bitcoin is going to have a big move to the upside, probably starting before the end of this year. Now, to get even more specific on you guys, I would say first, there's a pretty good chance that if Bitcoin doesn't get above this moving average right here, that we're probably going to see a crash. If Bitcoin cannot break this resistance as it attempted to a few days ago, if it can't get above the 200 daily SMA, that simple moving average that people will not stop talking about, it's going to be difficult for Bitcoin to have some major breakout if we keep testing this and rejecting off of it. But no matter what happens, whether or not Bitcoin breaks through this immediately or falls to the downside, maybe down to 6K and then comes back up and breaks through it later, no matter what happens before the end of this year, I'm expecting a major rally to start. That major rally may not bring us all the way back up to 14K before 2020 begins, but because of how long we've seen low volatility, there is more than likely going to be a bout of high volatility to come. Like I said, guys, high and low volatility are cyclical in the same way that bullish and bearishness are cyclical in markets, and that's an important factor that you need to take into account, is the general trend from low volatility to much higher volatility, back down to lower volatility, and then of course back up to even higher volatility from there. It's a cycle, and it's something that you need to pay attention to. Anyway, guys, tell me in the comment section down below what you think of that analysis. I think the longer-term technicals for Bitcoin are looking pretty bullish, although I will say that depending on what happens over the next couple of weeks around that 200 weekly simple moving average, there's a good chance that we can still break to the downside, guys. I am bearish until I'm proven bullish in the same way that I'm bullish until proven bearish, but I do have a feeling that even if we have slight bearishness in the short term, we're probably going to go very bullish within the next 6 months or so. Bitcoin might just need a little bit more sideways trading as some things start happening in the fundamentals again. Anyway, moving on, speaking of fundamentals, I do want to be brief on this because it's not that big of a deal, but it is something that is worthy of our attention. Japan legalizes cryptocurrency donation to politicians with no limits in place. In a surprising move, the Japanese government, politicians in the country can now receive unlimited donations without any need of disclosing them to the concerned authorities. That is a really interesting deal. Let's see if I can get this. Sane Takechi? I don't know if I got that. I'm sorry if I butchered that. The country's Internal Affairs and Communications Minister revealed that in a press briefing a couple days ago. She claimed that crypto donations do not come under the Political Funds Control Law, so they do not need disclosure, and politicians have no limits on receiving such donations. Adding to that, she indicated that Japanese laws don't necessitate crypto donations to be included in the account's political balance, which may raise a few concern for some, but it was normal for such scenarios in pro-Japan. Cryptographic assets do not fall under any of the above regulations and do not limit donations. Now, that's really interesting because Bitcoin and cryptocurrency seem to be pretty much regulation-free as far as donations to politicians. That could bring about some interesting scenarios in the Japanese political system. I don't know a whole lot about the Japanese political system, so if you guys have anything that you would like to weigh in on that, make sure to let us know in the comment section down below. I bet what it is that Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, or they are, they're trying to run for office and they got this pass so they can buy so they can use their Bitcoin and political donations. Putting on my tinfoil hat, No, I'm kidding, of course. Anyway, guys, before we wrap up, I do briefly want to mention the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy and how it is linked in the description down below with a $40 off coupon code, that being October 2019. If you guys want to learn everything you need to know about technical analysis all in one place so that it's nice and easy and concise for you to learn, I highly recommend CT2A. We have nearly 900 members of the Academy, and they're learning every single day about how to trade these markets in bullish, bearish, and neutral scenarios. When Bitcoin is not moving at all, there's still money to be made. The best investment you will ever make in your life, and also, of course, in cryptocurrency markets, is an investment in education. People go to college for 4, 8, 12 years, spend $50, $100, $150,000 to learn a skill that's going to make them maybe 80 grand a year. Guys, for $159, you can learn how to trade cryptocurrencies profitably and make pretty much as much money as you want with your own hours. It's actually insane how awesome cryptocurrency is for that reason and that reason alone, not even including everything else that comes with it. So guys, if you're interested in becoming a professional cryptocurrency technical analyst and trader, I highly recommend checking us out at the link in the description down below. And if you'd like to talk to some of our students to see what they have to say, join the Discord server down below and ask some of them. I'd love for you guys to get their personal testimony in the DMs where I am not present and they can speak freely. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video. So I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.